Hello, my name is Natasha Davis, and I am currently interviewing with one of my clients, Jasmine Fitzpatrick, who is um, a student, college student, and also part of the DD um, population. Um, Hi, Jasmine. So, how would you describe yourself in terms of specific religious beliefs and spiritual path or faith?
Okay, I'm more spiritual than when I am religious. I pretty much let people, you know, be who they are when it comes to religion. But me, as far as spiritual, I feel like I'm connected to the world in many different ways. Like I may know certain things about people before they even tell me because I just get a feeling. Most of the time, I get feelings when I know something ain't gonna go right before it stops going the correct way. So that's how I know I'm connected to the world in many different ways, especially with my perspective on a lot of different things. I if something happens, like just say that there's a disagreement between five different people, and let's just say that you're one of those people. It, Technically, you're only really seeing your part. You're not really seeing the other part. Now, if I'm observing it, I can see all different aspects of what each person is saying. And I can piece it together the way that it's supposed to be pieced together so that everybody understands what the next person is saying. Not everybody can do that, but I've always been able to do that, even as a kid. Um, Especially when I meet like new people, I can automatically tell what they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with. With all them just saying is hello. It's the way that they say it. It's the tone in their voice. It's their body language. It's the way that they look. It's kind of like I can see inside a person's being, inside their soul, without them even telling me who they really are. Because your soul done already showed me a couple of things. Now that and I don't judge. I just let it unfold as it's supposed to, you know. But I've always been like that. So spirituality has always been big with me because I'm lucky to be able to differentiate a lot of different things.
Okay. I have another question for you. Um, how did you come to this place that you are in your journey?
How did I come to this place in my journey? Well, my journey of life hasn't. It's been a road. It's been a road. I mean, even okay. So let me just take you back to when I was a child. When I was a child, I really didn't understand. You know, the depths of me being a disabled child. I thought like a regular child until there was things that kids in the neighborhood were able to do that I wasn't able to do, like have sleepovers and go to parties and go to parks and things like that. I really couldn't do none of that. And even within my family, like they attempted to try to, make me feel as quote unquote normal as possible, but there was always something that, you know, made it present that some things in life that I wasn't gonna be able to do. Now going into like middle school and high school, well middle school because I moved around a lot, I was like bullied a lot, but it affected me, but I just had to like push through that because when you don't have um, when you don't have a support system, which I never really grew up with a support system, I had to kind of like really be a support for myself. If I was mad, if I was sad, if something, happened to me, it was kind of like I had to keep it to myself. I didn't start building a support system until a couple years ago as an adult because now I'm an adult and I can make decisions on who is allowed to be a part of my journey and who is not, whether we are blood related or not. But as a kid, my journey was so complicated. But I kept it together. Like, even in high school was better for me because I was going to school with people that I knew. When I say people that I knew, I mean like people that I was related to and people that I knew from like the neighborhood. So they were like very supportive and protective when they needed to be and everything else. So that wasn't a problem. But then going into adulthood when everybody's, graduating high school, which I graduated, like the top 10% of my class with distinguished honors and everything else. And actually, even though I am physically disabled, I did walk to get my diploma. So that was a big thing for me, and that was also a big thing for my friends and the people that I graduated with. But one thing that I didn't understand within that journey that led me here is that my care needs was going to take a front seat. Once I graduated high school, which was back in 2011, like a year after that, that's when everything just became real to me. Like, okay, you're not going to be able to go on campus and be at a four-year university without the care that you need. But I didn't understand that in the beginning until it just became present that this is what it is, and your care is always going to become before everything else. So when I was 19, I can say that I moved to my first agency up in North Jersey somewhere, and I only stayed there for 5 months. And me personally, I think I only stayed there for 5 months because I wasn't ready. I was very naive, very not mature enough to understand like what was going on. And a lot of people just was like, oh yeah, you're living on your own, you're doing the thing, you're doing what you have to do. But not understanding that as a 19-year-old, I was like, I'm supposed to be at a 4-year college. I'm supposed to be with my friends. I'm supposed to be doing what they were doing. But it took me a long time to realize that I have to take a different route because of my physical limitations. Even though people don't really put a damper on my physical limitations, it's something that I have to think about first before anything else. And being 19 and having to think like that, it's just like everything I ever dreamed of when I was in high school really, it really was a quote unquote fantasy. But I can say after the fact, like when I turned 2021, I was able to actually live out one of my dreams and move to Hollywood and try to become an actress. And Hollywood did tell me yes, but I had to leave. I had to come back home to New Jersey because, again, my care was the number one thing. And when you don't have somebody who believes that you can make it happen and that you can become a star and that this is just the beginning, and of course you're not going to be paid that much when you're just starting out and people don't believe you, then you don't have the care that you need, yeah, you have to come home. So I had to come home. I came home, and for a couple years I was in a very dark place because I was trying to understand what is it about me that I was chosen for this journey? Because this journey of being a disabled person, it has a lot of bumps and curves and roller coasters and things like that sometimes I don't even want to step on. I don't have no choice. So it's kind of like I have to take the front seat and deal with a lot of different things head on. And sometimes I don't want to, but I do what I have to do. So with then coming back, because I was in a dark place, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do from here. I do come from a large family, and I do have a lot of siblings, and yes, they lived their life. But at the time when I had came back, it was like 2 of my siblings that had to really help me out, and honestly, it kind of made them resent me a little bit. So even with that, I had to leave there and then go with another family member for about, I want to say, almost 8 months. And then I ended up where I am now. And with being here, I was able to start my backup plan and be a college student and and be more independent like I wanted to be, like be out in the community, see my friends a lot, and now this is before Corona, and be on the campus and be an impact. And that's all I ever think. That's all I ever wanted to do, whether it was me being in Hollywood or being a college student on campus. Just leave my mark, because sometimes when you're in a dark place, you don't think about leaving your mark. You just think, I'm in this dark place, I'm never gonna get out. I got out. Even with me getting out, I myself had to start the healing process that I started like a year ago. And from that, I'm learning a lot of different things about myself that I didn't know before, because I was so busy on the negative notations that a lot of people had, towards me, whether it was something I did when I was in high school or had anything to do with my medical care. When I say people, I'm talking about, I'm not talking about my friends, I'm talking about my relatives. And even with that, I had to realize that it was okay for me to be away from them to grow as a person. So that's how I got to where I am now, in the brightness, to see the light. Because for some years, I want to say like 20 years, ever since I was 8, because I'm 28 now, ever since like 20 years, you couldn't tell me that I would be 28 right now. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a journey, but I've gotten there. So, I mean, I'm glad to be. Glad to be.
That's good. It's good to hear that. It's good to hear that. What should social workers know about this group of people from your perspective? So basically, the DDD population from your perspective.
Oh wow, that's a deep question, and the reason for why that's a deep question is because a lot of people, whether you're a social worker or a regular person, sometimes even when you don't mean to do it, we are boxed together as we are the same person. We are not all the same. We are not all the same. And we can become successful people. We can be career men and women. We can be parents. We can be a support for people that they never thought they could have. And I know, because I have friends that are deaf, that are lawyers, that are mothers and fathers and teachers and everything else. I'm even psychologists. Like myself, I'm going to school to be a therapist. I'm not really sure what type of therapist I want to be at this point. So I think everybody needs help. I don't care who you think you are. I think everybody just needs that shoulder to lean on, that quiet board to bounce off of. Even therapists need therapists. I even have a therapist myself, because I need my mind, body, and soul to be complete in order for me to help somebody else become a full circle like I am. But I didn't do it by myself. I have support that helps me stay where I'm at, as far as the way my mind is operated and the way I move, in my mind I move quickly, because that's all I know how to do. But I want people to know that these group of individuals that are considered to be DDD or special needs or this and that, if you sit down and you actually have a conversation with a vast majority of us, you will understand that we're just people. We feel the same things that you feel. We think pretty much the same. It's just we have all these struggles within ourselves most of the time that we can't talk about because we don't want nobody to put another stamp on what we're trying to tell you because you're not understanding what we're saying. You just think, oh, well, this person gonna have to go somewhere and find some help. Sometimes it's not what it is. It's just you just want somebody to listen to what you're saying. Because even as children, I know this because I was told this as a kid, we are told to be invisible. So when you're told to be invisible, that's a lot. It's hard sometimes. And then when you're an adult, you get to a point where you just don't want to be invisible anymore. You want to tell people how you really feel. You want to tell them. You may think like, I'm really that limited, but I'm not that limited. You may think that I'm a little crazy, but I ain't that crazy. I do understand and comprehend everything that's going on around me. And that's what I learned within my community of people. Most of the time, they just want somebody to listen. They don't want your advice. They just want you to listen. Because most of the time, we don't have anybody to listen. Now, there's a lot of people that say to me, oh, you should be an advocate and you should do this and you should do that. The reason why I say no is because most of them are so deep in the hole that I can't fight that fight with one person. Because I gotta go save other people. So that's another reason for why I won't be an advocate. And sometimes they say no to a lot of things that you should not say no to. Sometimes you have to take things with a grain of salt and take the better good instead of the greater good. Because you're not gonna get that most of the time. Being a disabled person, you're not gonna get that. Most of them do not understand that, and they get angry a lot and this and that, and I understand the anger, I understand the sadness, the anger, the disappointment. That's what society has shown us within the dark. You will never see that on TV because what they want you to see on TV is, okay, we have this disabled kid and they're doing great things and they're going to grow up to be a great person. They may grow up to be a great person, but when they grow up, they kind of get forgotten about. The way they think and the way they feel will get swept under the rug. I know because I'm one of those people that it happened to. I have multiple friends that it happened to, but people got to know we are just human just like you. We come from humans just like everybody else. We don't come from Venus or Mars or anything like that. We come from other humans, Mm-hmm. And what happened to us, just like what happened to me, sometimes it just happened. It can happen in a car accident, having a birth defect. What I have is a birth defect, so I was born into it even if I didn't want to be, which that is my struggle. Like, I didn't want this, but it was chosen for me. And I just had to take it for what it is. Take the grain of salt. Take the fact that just because I'm a person who loves hard, I'm not going to get that from everybody. It took me years to understand that even with my own family. They think that the way I love is not normal. Or should I say I overlove or whatever it is in their view, but that's not how I view myself, so that's what's most important. But I do know that a lot of people in my community cannot differentiate the differences that people are telling them. They're thinking, oh, you're just gonna not like me because I'm disabled or whatever. But what they gotta understand is everybody thinks differently. And even though everybody puts us in a box, we are individuals that deserve a chance. If you just give us a chance, you'll see. You'll see.
Okay. That was good.
Thanks.
That was a lot.
Yes.
The perspective is very different. I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay.
In what ways has religion, beliefs, and spiritual practice has affected you in your thought process?
Well, like I said, spiritual beliefs have affected me deeply in my perspective because I always stay open minded. And the reason why I always stay open minded is because sometimes the way I think can be super confusing for the next person. So if it's confusing and they feel some type of way and they're strong about the way they feel, I'm the type of person, because I think with an open mind 24/7. I let them feel, let them feel that. That's how you feel. But I also make it clear that not everybody's going to think the same or feel the same. And it's easier to just let people be who they are than to try to be like, well, you're gonna think that way, but you're wrong. I'm not gonna tell somebody that they're wrong, even if I do know that they're wrong, because I want them to see it for themselves. Eventually, if you're not gonna see it with me, eventually you may see it talking to somebody else. Or I can go to the next person and they'll understand my perspective more than they understand the next person's perspective. So and even with spirituality, if let's just say I'm getting ready to end my day and I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about things, something could come up in my mind as I'm writing about a person, and whatever it is, it probably won't happen for like a week and a half. But I already knew that it was gonna happen, or they were already gonna feel that way or say that way about a certain situation. And that's how it's always been. So I've always thought outside the box when it comes to other people. Now for myself, it's something that is really hard for me to think outside the box personally for myself, because even though I'm open-minded, I'm my worst critic more than the world, because I feel like sometimes I gotta beat people to the punch before they say anything negative. I gotta beat you to the punch and say, well, I already knew that, so come up with something new, and that could be tiring, but it's all okay. But I also stay open minded so that because every day is supposed to be, a day that you learn new things from everybody, no matter who's in your life. So that's another reason why I stay open minded. It's always good to learn something new from somebody, whether it's as educational or personal. It's always good to learn something new about yourself or about another person that you're close to, and just keep that in mind, or keep the gem that they give you and exude it in your life every day. So that's another reason why I try to keep an open mind, because it allows me to learn many different things that I didn't know growing up, or I wasn't taught growing up, and because of the way I grew up, which is kind of rough, there's a lot that I didn't know going into my womanhood, my early 20s. Now I'm in my late 20s, so I'm learning the lessons that I didn't get to learn way back when. So now when I'm in my 30s, I'm 100% complete within myself. And so that I know myself better than another person could say they ever know me. So it's what's best. It's just keep an open mind and try to get people to open up their mind, and if they don't, at least you tried, and that's all.
Did you grow up religious?
Yes, I did. I grew up in a Christian Baptist household. My grandparents, well, my grandmother, she wasn't really strict. It was her sister, which is one of my great aunts. She was really strict on, religion and Sunday school, and you should be reading the Bible 24/7. You should be praying 24/7. No matter what it is, you make sure you say that prayer for the day. You make sure you know the word. You make sure no matter where you think you're going, you don't leave what I instill in you behind. Now, it was said that when we were younger, I want to say when I was like 8 years old, she did say that once we turned like 20, 21, we didn't have to go to church anymore. And when I turned 19, 20, I was like, thank you, Jesus, okay? Because I don't feel like going to church today and hearing the word for 4 hours and going to Bible study, then coming home and you still got to do Bible study with her because, she was just like that. And the thing is with me, I was just like, okay, I know the Lord and I know that when I need to go to Him, I will go to Him. But I want to just let me live life. I got to learn things within the world too to know how to navigate. And sometimes it's kind of hard when you grow up in a home like that because they always say if you're going through something, they always say, oh, you need Jesus. No, this is deeper than Jesus for a second. I just need you as a person, But like, I mean, I get it. But then when I tell you, I was just like, oh my God, I don't have to go to church today. We ain't gonna be talking in tongues. We ain't gonna be doing none of that. Ain't nobody gonna get the Holy Ghost, none of that. So it was. I grew up with all that, but then when I was able to branch off, I was like, oh my God, this is a different type of freedom. It's a different type of freedom, So yeah, no, I grew up with all that instilled in me.
Okay, I have another question. You ready?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. How has your spiritual beliefs aided you in your mental health?
Mental health for me, I want to say, has always been a struggle in a way. Like my mental health is strong, but it took a while for my mental health to be strong because there was a lot that had happened to me as a child that I was just like, oh my God, maybe what this person is saying about me as a child, I'm gonna say like 7 to like 13. Maybe what this person is saying to me is true because this person, gave birth to me so she would know. But I didn't understand. Let me just put this out there. I didn't understand that my mother herself had a mental illness. I didn't know what that was as a kid. I didn't know. So I just figured anything that she would say that was negative or do that was negative, I just figured, okay, this is the norm. But then when I was out in the world and I realized that it wasn't normal and it wasn't healthy, I was just like, okay, well, I can't have whatever's going on with me affect who I'm going to be as a person because then people are going to think I'm crazy and I'll be damned if I'm going to be like her. And I worked hard within myself as a kid to build the tough skin and the tough mindset that I have because I was just like, I don't want to be like her and I'm not. So I started meditating at the age of like 10. So I know how to become one with myself very quickly. But when I meditate, all my doors have to be closed. My room door has to be locked because I don't want nobody knocking and coming and knocking off my concentration or anything like that. My journal has to be open. My phone has this thing where it has like daily spiritual affirmations. And once I'm done listening to my affirmations, I do turn on my meditation like sounds and things like that. And I write in my journal and I just become one with myself. And it's dead quiet in here because I'm becoming one with myself. And when I'm doing that, I'm going through every single thing that I went through the last couple of weeks and how I reacted to it. And I'm telling myself, well, that wasn't the way to do that. So we're going to do this differently. And then we're going to let this all go. we're gonna let it go. We're gonna take it off of my shoulders. I can say that I meditate like I used to meditate every day, and then like over the years it became like twice a week, and then it became twice a month. And now that I'm becoming back into it, it's kind of like once or twice a week. It might start to become every day because I felt like when I was meditating every day, I had a different type of energy. Like, yeah, I was happy, but I was happy. Like, yeah, like everything that ever happened to me the day following, I don't even have that on me. If another person is still coming to me about what happened last night, I don't even know what you're talking about because I let it go in the universe. So, but now I feel like I've slacked off with it. So sometimes it makes me feel like I'm off. So just recently, I'm going to say like last week, I just happened to be meditating and somebody happened to knock on my door and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm meditating. I need you not to knock on my door for about 45 minutes, because I'm trying to become one with myself, So, I mean, it all works out. Meditation and spirituality really keeps me grounded as an individual.
Okay. Have you discovered your own mental illnesses without being diagnosed or talking to someone about it?
I've been in counseling since I was like 11 years old. So I don't think I knew. I don't think I knew because I was a kid, and I was going through a lot, with my mother being who she was at the time. So I don't think I knew. Because what I knew from her, that was normal. But I had to realize that it wasn't normal and that it was affecting me emotionally in ways that people was like, this girl just needs somebody to talk to. So with being in counseling, and then at a time I was in anger management for like 6 years because I was very angry. Like I would just blow off the handle. But now, like even as an adult, like I don't really. When I get angry, yeah, I'm just angry for a second, but I don't stay angry because it's not worth it. We're not here forever. But no, I didn't. I wasn't able to realize that myself, that I was struggling because of what I was in, what I was born into, So no, I've been in counseling ever since I was like 11 years old. So it's been a journey.
Have you been diagnosed with any?
No.
Okay.
No, because yeah, but I would say, I don't think you're depressed or anything. I just think emotionally it has affected you, and you're just trying to figure out why you were born into the situation you were born in. But you gotta understand that it's not your fault, because she used to blame me for being a disabled person. She used to blame me for the fact that I was born, So it didn't make me depressed, but it really made me emotional. Like, I used to cry a lot. I mean, I still do. Like, I'm still emotional, but I always enjoyed life, and I still do. So.
So when you are going through a crisis or a situation, you stated that you practice meditation as a coping strategy.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you do?
I write.
You write?
I write a lot of poetry. And I've wrote poetry for years, and actually, I have a lot of poetry that I can actually make into a book, but I've never done it because I've never been able to really been in the right direction to be able to do that. But yeah, right? Meditate, and most of the time if I just don't want to deal with it, I sleep. And I wake up and I'm just like, all right, we're gonna try to meditate again, and we're gonna continue to write, and
it helps you process.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'll just throw myself into my schoolwork when the semester is available.
Okay. Writing, I have learned that writing is a great way of processing information.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I can understand that. And poetry is a great form of expression. I do have another question.
Okay.
It's one more. Now, this is a class that is basically a spiritual class, and also ties in with religion. So, what is your definition between spirituality and religion?
Okay. Religion, I feel like it's taught, because you're given a Bible, and every scripture can be broken down in ways for you to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody understands different scriptures every the same. Not everybody understands scriptures the same, and that's okay. Just as long as you have an understanding of the basis of what they are saying or what happened in the book of Noah's Ark or Genesis or or anything like that. Religion is definitely something that is taught, because it's definitely something that parents bring to their children at young ages, which is a good thing. Depending on who you are and how you believe and what you feel about religion. I don't feel anything negative so much about religion, but I do know that me growing up so strictly with it, I was just like, this can't be the only way of life now. This is just not it. You need to just calm down. You just a little bit too too much into it, so it was just like, for me, it was like, I know this ain't the only way to life, so. And spirituality, I feel like it's something that people can grow into as individuals.
Okay.
Because not everybody's spirituality is the same either, because you ain't the same. Even if you had a twin, you and your twin are not the same person.
Right.
So your feelings are not always going to be 100% the same. But once you can become one with yourself and feel certain things within people's energies that you're around, or certain decisions that you made, or how things may blow up in certain instances, if you're spiritual, that means you understand yourself more than the next person may understand you, or more than the next person may understand themselves. And there's nothing wrong with neither one. There's a big difference between the two. Religion is pretty much taught and embedded in you. When it comes to spirituality, it can hit you at any time in your life that you just awaken. You awaken with the earth. You awaken with certain people. You awaken with a lot of situations that happen to you, whether it's through your childhood as a kid, from ages